The number one golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler. Scottie, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, let's hear it. We got a crowd here for the first time today. How's it going, man?
All good. All good. Just finished the Pro-Am. Glad to be on.
Yeah, that is right. You just finished 9 holes and bing, bang, boom, and you're here. And about a year ago, someone asked me if you could be any professional athlete in the world, who would it be? So I came up with 2 names.
Oh, here we go.
One was John Morant at the time. And the second was you. Now, John Morant's had some issues here, but I feel like you're not going to be in the strip club with the guns, so I'm safe with you now.
Yeah, I
right?
don't have any guns.
Yeah, all right, good. All right, very good. So you're on top of the world right now, man. I mean, when you are you, does it feel like you're on top of the world as the number one golfer? Or are you just going about your business?
Just playing golf. I don't feel much different than I did a few years ago. I'm married to the same girl. My life hasn't really changed much at home. It's a little different when you get to tournaments, and you guys want me to come on your show, and I got some fans out here, I guess, for this.
You guess?
And, yeah, but just little stuff like that's a bit different. But at home, everything's pretty much the same.
Interesting. You guys played at the LA Country Club for the U.S. Open, and they elevated this particular tournament to a $20 million purse. Gio asked you off the air whether or not you would have been here had that not been the case, and you said you probably would have not made it. But now it seems like because of what happened with Liv and everything else and elevating this tour, now this becomes one of those ones that you can't miss just simply because you guys are all in now.
Yeah, and it's a team effort between a lot of the guys, showing up, and we all want to play against each other more often. And this is one of those events where we're having a ton of guys show up. And yeah, just with the travel getting all the way across the country, but Travelers has always done a great job taking care of us this week. And it's a fun week. The crowds are great in Cromwell, so it's a really, really fun event. And I probably would have still been here, but elevated purses and the new tour schedule definitely helps get all of us together more often.
So let's face it, Liv obviously had a profound effect on all of that stuff. When was the last time you guys had a meeting with PGA Tour leadership to tell you what's going on?
They had a player meeting here last night, and then we had a pack meeting the night before. They don't really know exactly what's going on right now.
You still don't know what's going on?
I don't know what's going on.
You have no idea.
Somebody knows what's going on, but I don't know what's going on.
Wow. This is interesting because there's a lot of dynamics at play here. And I'm sure you were offered by Liv to go there. Were you not?
At one point in time, I was, yeah.
And you said, was there any doubt that you were not going, or did you really think about it?
I didn't put much thought to it. The offer wasn't, too lucrative. And, the PGA Tour is where I grew up wanting to play golf, and it was just one of those deals where I didn't think it was for me, and I grew up dreaming of playing out here, and I accomplished that goal, and I love playing out here on tour, and I didn't really put much thought to it.
Did you hold it against the guys that did leave at first? Did you feel like there was some animosity there at all?
Not really. Everybody's entitled to their own decisions, and what's right for me isn't necessarily what's right for somebody else, and so I have no hard feelings for anybody that left, and it's nice when we can all get together at the majors and still play, and maybe we'll all be together someday soon, but no animosity towards those guys.
So when we found out, it was like 9, our show ends at 10 a.m. It was 9:58, and I see this alert on my phone, and we talked a ton about this leading up, and it says Liv and PGA Tour joining together, and I'm like, what? And we've got 2 minutes left in the show, and I couldn't believe it. When you see that alert, because it didn't seem like anybody knew what was going on, what was your reaction?
Same as yours. I didn't know what was going on either. It's still one of those things. It's a framework agreement, so we don't really know exactly what that means. I know that the litigation goes away, which is good for both sides. I think going into court is something you never really want to have to do pretty much anybody. I don't want to go to court. So that part's nice. But as far as the rest of the stuff goes, I have no idea what's gonna happen or what's going on. And I think we've done a really good job of improving our tour, and that's really what concerns me. Is having the best environment out here, and it's been really fun so far this year, getting to play the elevated events, getting to play against the best players all the time, and I think this year's been a really good success for us.
Yeah, for us as golf fans, as we're talking to the number one golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler. For us as golf fans, this is like every week you guys are showing up, and that's the thing that I think we all appreciate. You guys are not taking any of this for granted, but I'm just wondering, of the guys that left, who are you closest with? Is it like Brooks? Is it DJ? Who is like your best buddy out of that group?
I wouldn't say I was extremely close with many of the guys. I knew DJ really well from being on team events. I knew Bryson well from being on team events, and I knew Brooks. We have the same manager, and like, you just get to know guys from seeing them so often out here, and I mean, there's a ton of guys like Bubba I was very close with. Cam Smith, we play together all the time. I mean, I know a lot of those guys very well, and so it's weird not seeing them every week now, but, life goes on.
So you and Brooks have the same agent?
We should have the same manager, yeah.
That's got to be interesting, because he's telling him one thing and he's telling you something else, and you guys are.
Well, I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I mean, Blake does a good job managing me and Brooks. We're on two different tours. I don't see him very often, and he's not really playing a side. It's just he's taking care of my business and taking care of his.
I got to ask you this one too. So the Ryder Cup, the points, and all that other stuff. So Wyndham Clark wins, obviously, the U.S. Open. He's now number 2 in Ryder Cup points. Brooks is number 3. I'm not really sure how this point thing works, but he can get points, I think, only in one other tournament, and that's the Open Championship over in England. After that, I think there's a chance that other guys could jump him. If he's outside of the top 6, is he going to get picked for the American team?
I'm not the captain. I have no idea.
Man is smart.
That's something we talked about off air. I don't know. I want the best team possible to go over there and play, and it's different because it's a team event. So you have to have a good team environment, and it's different than the rest of the tournaments we play. And that's one of those deals that Zach will figure out. And I would imagine Brooks would still stay in the top 6. I don't know exactly how the points work, but he's obviously a pretty good golfer.
Yeah, I think you got about 24,000 points. I don't think you got a problem.
He doesn't have to worry about anything. We're talking to Scottie Scheffler. So on Saturday, you make the run at the end of the third round, and you're on fire. And it's just it's vintage you. And I'm thinking, going into, and of course we bet you. So going into the final round, I'm saying Scottie's going to take off. He's going to take off, and this is going to be his day. And it didn't quite happen for you. I mean, and it's not like you played a bad round. You didn't, but you just didn't quite happen. So from your perspective, why didn't you make that run on Sunday at the U.S. Open?
I would say I just wasn't sharp enough. I didn't give myself enough quality looks throughout the day, and so I was kind of fighting. I didn't really have, I wasn't swinging at my best, and the putts weren't necessarily falling. And in order to have a great round of U.S. Open, you got to be pretty much firing on all cylinders. And it was kind of one of those weeks where I was just hanging around, waiting for my moment. And I had that great stretch to end the round Saturday and was hoping to get off to a good start on Sunday. And you just have to stay so patient. Yeah. And so I was just kind of waiting to pick my spots, and that time never really came where I got really hot and was able to make a move. What I noticed about the leaderboard last week was it was different than the PGA, in which the PGA, everyone was kind of gradually building up together to get to that. I think it was 9 under Brooks won the PGA at. Whereas the U.S. Open, they got to that number so fast, and where I was kind of that steady, 2 under, 3 under, 2 under kind of days, and I never really had that 6 or 7 under round to get myself right to the top of the leaderboard. And it was still a solid week, but obviously wish it would have worked out a little better.
It's amazing. We were talking about it after the first day. Like, the USGA's got to be upset that you got 2 8-unders, and Ricky Fowler's out there, and of course Xander Schauffele does amazing stuff, and then all of a sudden it all stopped. What did they do to the golf course to actually make it tougher for you guys?
I think it was what they were planning on all along. They needed the course to be firm and fast. That's how it plays with the wide fairways, and the first day, it was just softer than they thought it was going to be. I think the weather, the marine layers stayed in. It was actually, the scores were easier in the afternoon than they were in the morning, which if you would have planned it out in the beginning of the week, it would have been significantly harder in the afternoon. Like, for instance, on Friday, marine layers still in the morning, clears in the afternoon, so the sun comes out, gets firmer, gets windy. I think it was like a shot and a half harder in the afternoon on Friday. And so that's what the USG, I think, had imagined going into the week was, cloudy in the morning, green's a little softer, gets firmer as the day goes on, and the first day just didn't happen. And when you don't get a ton of wind and you get such great conditions like that, guys are going to score well pretty much no matter what the golf course is, unless it's just, some stupid test where
had you played there much?
I played the Walker Cup there in 2017.
So that was the last time you were there?
That was the last time I was there, yeah.
Is there a great golf course, or I say a handful of golf courses that you love playing? I'm sure Augusta's got to be one of them.
Yeah, I like just the good tests, and I think LACC was a great test last week. It was one of those places where I appreciated it because you get rewarded for your good shots. Like, if you hit really good shots, you can shoot a 7, 8 under. You can have a great round of golf, but if you don't, you're going to struggle out there. And that's what I appreciate, and that's what's fun for me as a competitor, is going into getting playing on golf courses like that.
What I'd love to know, because you talk about getting hot and watching you, when you get hot, you get hot. Now, from when you're you and in your body and you're feeling that, like, do you go, oh boy, here we go? Like, I got it in this. Like, I am locked in. Do you feel that shift? Like, man, I'm going to rattle off 4 birdies right now because I am locked in. Is that a mental thing?
I would say sometimes, yeah. I think golf's one of those funny games where you're always one swing away from feeling really great. And so throughout the course of a round, things will happen where you'll maybe hit one shot and all of a sudden you'll start feeling it in your hands, and then you'll start seeing, hit the next shot really good. The next shot after that, and then you get excited and you start to build on that momentum. And so it's kind of one of those deals where you just kind of wait for your spot, and then sometimes you get hot and sometimes you don't. But I usually don't like to try and force things out there on the course. I kind of let the tournament more so come to me and just try and shoot a good score.
Man, when you burst on the scene, these other golfers are probably like, this guy, this is unbelievable. He's so good. He's so calm. He doesn't freak out. Like, and he's winning every tournament. He's in the top 5. Like, we're going to have to deal with this guy for a really, really long time. And that's basically what you've been. And the calm demeanor is probably the most impressive to me, because I've never really seen you like lose it, or you could tell that, like, oh man, Scottie's going to have a rough day today because he's not locked in. I mean, that's got to be. Did that come natural to you, or did you work on that?
I'd say that's something I worked on for a pretty long period of time. When I was growing up, I definitely struggled a little bit with getting too frustrated on the course. I expected good results all the time, and golf's not necessarily that way. And it's something I still struggle with today. So I do try to stay calm on the golf course, but internally I get fired up. I'm extremely competitive, and I want to succeed and play well, but usually staying calm is what works better for me, so I'm glad I've been able to pull that off a little bit of late.
Well, I think it's a big part of being a good golfer is being calm and being within yourself, as they say. But, the other thing, too, I was trying to tell Gio, you guys travel so much, and you have to put so much time and effort into your game. Just, like, give us an example of, like, what your schedule is this week. So you got here, Monday?
Yeah, we came in Monday night on the charter. I think we landed maybe at, like, 6. Try to get adjusted to the time zone. Playing the week after a major, my schedule looks a lot different just because it's so draining. And, like, I think I've played 4 of the last 5 weeks, and I've played pretty well. And so anytime you're up there on the leaderboards, it's even more stress on kind of your body just from being under the pressure, the adrenaline, all that kind of stuff, and you get tired mentally. And so this week I'm just focused on rest. Yesterday, came out, played 9 holes, left. This morning I played 9 holes. I'm going to practice for maybe an hour, and then I'll go hit the gym, see my trainer, and just go home and chill for the rest of the day.
That's it. And then
this wouldn't be a typical week for me just because it's, like I said, it's week after major. I'm tired, trying to get used to the time zone. Fortunately, I go in the afternoon tomorrow, so I got plenty of time to get rest, but that's pretty much what I'm focused on right now.
Have you watched any of the Full Swing stuff on Netflix?
Not really. I've seen a little bit. I watched the episode that I was in with Brooks.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job. I know the show was a success, and I'm not going to be a part of season 2, but being part of season 1 was nice.
We loved it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it seems to have great reviews. So
yes.
Why not season 2?
It wasn't for me.
Come on, you're the #1 golfer. What are we talking about
for you.
Here? Come on.
Yeah, when I get home, I just like being home. I don't like having cameras around. I like my private life to be private. My wife doesn't want to be on the show. My friends don't want to be on the show. And so I like having that aspect of my life that's, just being home.
Man, I tell you, this guy's got it all figured out already.
He does.
I mean, what are you, 26 now?
27. Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, by the way, happy birthday.
You.
Yes, that's right, 27. And
we do have a cake for
we
you.
got you something.
Oh, no. Yes.
And we would like to bring that cake out now.
There
Here
we
it
go.
is.
There it is.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Scottie. Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all.
There you
Thank
go.
you very much.
27
Thanks for
years
the
old
cake,
today.
guys.
Yeah. We
Appreciate
got that from Walmart this morning.
Yeah, it's pretty
yes,
good.
yeah, it's great. It's perfect. Right up your alley.
That's what I'll have for lunch. That's perfect.
that is tremendous. So 27 years old with everything at your fingertips and as calm as you are. Where do you see? What are your career goals? Do you one of those guys that doesn't set them?
Yeah, so I think I'm a little bit different in that sense where I don't set long-term goals. I have dreams and aspirations of what I want to do out here, but my goal going into every week is just giving it my best, and so that's approaching shots the right way. That's not getting frustrated. That's coming in with a good attitude, and that's how I try and approach events. And I don't place too much emphasis on long-term goals. Like if I was to sit here and say, I want to win 5 majors. In my head, I'd be like, I'm going to be out here for 25 years. I'm going to play golf out here the rest of my life. and be like, oh, I can do that stuff later. And so for me, what's best is just staying present, just trying to get a little bit better at a time, and just going from there.
So I am obsessed watching golf constantly, and I'm watching everybody swing and everything else, and taking lessons and the whole deal. Then I watch you, who's the #1 golfer in the world, and then off the tee, you're kicking your foot behind you a little bit, and I'm like, how does that work?
That's just a natural thing that you do.
I guess, yeah. I've attempted in the past to swing at what you would say normal footwork, and it just doesn't. It feels like I'm locked in. It doesn't feel as I guess, as natural. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's amazing how that. I mean, the game can, for one guy, can be one thing, and then for you, it's totally different. And if I came into a lesson and started doing the Scottie Scheffler kick, the guy would go, "What the hell are you doing? Stop doing that!" But for you, it's the thing you have to do.
Yeah, I think that's one of those deals where golf's funny. You got to, figure it out on your own. I'm not going to show up one day and say, hey, I want to swing like Rory. That's not going to work for me, or I want to swing like John Rahm.
Yeah.
That's not how I play, and that's not how I swing it, and you kind of got to go at things your own way. And I think that's what you're seeing now. Like, you see a guy like John, he's got a really unique move too. It's not, what you would call a perfect motion. I mean, he takes the club back, barely past halfway, and he hits it as hard as anybody on tour.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those deals where you got to just figure things out on your own and own what you do.
It's amazing. We've been working this as our 6th year together. So I would start talking about golf early on in our pairing, and he would just be like zoom out, would not pay attention about anything, and then all of a sudden he picked up a golf club last year. And it's like just absolutely insane. It's like I can't stop him talking about golf now, even in between the breaks.
Yeah, no, it's a sickness at this point. It
is.
really is. I hadn't been this excited in a very long time.
Yeah,
when
but
you were coming here, that's why I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get him a cake.
Right. The greatest thing about it is that he just turned 40, right? So it just goes to show you could pick up the game later in life and still be very good at it. I mean, that's the great thing about him, watching him go through this and then watching him watch you guys during the week and then us betting on it.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's really, you've come full circle.
No,
I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
No, thank you. And I was the guy, because I know there's some guys, I live in a very competitive town on Long Island, and there's guys that I know I'm playing with. I'm like, I can't stand playing with this guy because he's too intense and he throws me off my game. Who's the guy that you get paired with on the tour where you feel like his energy is either good or bad for your game?
Good or bad? I wouldn't say that I've been paired with anybody that has a bad energy for me to play with.
Yeah.
Good energy, I like playing with my friends. It's fun when I get paired with Sam. Like, Webb Simpson's a great guy to play golf with. I mean, there's really what's cool about being out here on tours is kind of like your own little fraternity. Like you said, we're traveling together every week. You see most of the same guys at tournaments, and you just get to know each other well. And so it's nice being out here and playing with your friends.
Is there anybody that you want to beat more than anybody else?
Yeah, probably my friends. Probably
Yeah.
Sam.
All right.
That's all right.
Of course. Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to ask you, I guess there's really not one spokesperson for the players on the PGA Tour. You guys have a player council, I'm assuming?
We have what's called the Player Advisory Council. And then we have like a board of people in business, and then I think there's 4 players on that board.
4 players.
They're called like the player directors.
Right. So you guys all give press conferences pretty much every golf tournament, and you're up there and you're being all asked the same questions, and everybody gives a different answer. It's like there's not like a uniform answer because you guys are not a union, really. You're an independent contractor, so you see things through your eyes. Do you think at any point in time this year that we'll know exactly what the details of the PGA Tour and the LIV relationship is going to look like?
My guess right now would be probably not, but who knows? I was pretty surprised by the news a few weeks ago, and so I think right now we're just kind of figuring out things as they go, and we have people to represent us as a tour. Jay's doing a good job, and I think now I guess Tyler's stepping in as Jay's fighting whatever medical is going on with him right now, and so we're thinking about him. But I think the tour's done a good job of kind of putting us in a position where what we're doing right now with the elevated events in our schedule has been working well, and we're getting more eyes on the sport. And as a player, it's been so fun to play in these events. And so, just trying to trust the leadership, and we'll see what happens.
So, the #1 golfer in America, in the world, for that matter, you trust your leadership. You trust the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we figured out this putter, we've settled out in the putter now, or are we still, experimenting?
We're okay with it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're always experimenting.
You're experimenting.
And doing different things.
A little this, a little that,
Well, yeah. Sometimes you got to scare the original putter. Last week I used one it looks very similar to one that I've used since I've been on tour. Now I'm in one that's slightly bigger, and it's a style putter that I used when I won the U.S. Junior in high school, and I used it for a few years, and so it's something that's familiar again, and rolling it nice.
Say they're always tweaking their game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me personally, I got these Mizuno hot metal JPX irons, Scotty, and they feel tremendous. And I don't know what you're using these days. I mean, I know your iron game's pretty good, but just my advice to you. Anyway, thanks for joining
Scottie,
us.
great to meet you.
This was a thrill, man.
Yeah,
Thank you. Happy birthday, Scottie Scheffler, everybody, the #1 golfer in the world.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.